Welcome to the special drum talk, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about something that's kind of on my heart this week. I've been for the last couple of years, especially last 4 years, I've been contemplating why I do what I do. And I have a t-shirt out. It's on my spring store. And there's a picture of my drums. This is not the t-shirt, of course. I'm wearing my Drum History Podcast t-shirt today. But I have one that's in gray, and it's got a picture of my drums that I drew on an iPad. It's my doodling drums. When I doodle, I used to do this as a kid. I would doodle on a pad at school. I still do it when I'm in a meeting sometimes where I got a pad there. I'll sit there and doodle drums. That's what I do. So when I got this iPad, I started doodling, and then I figured out how to use color. And I doodled that picture that's on the front of my t-shirt. But the back of my t-shirt has 4 words: walk, breathe, rejoice, and play. And the reason why I'm talking about this today is, why do I do drum covers? Has been the question I ask myself continuously. And there are days when I wake up and I read comments and I say, why do I do drum covers? So let's look at why we do drum covers, and then I'll quickly explain to you the 4 words on the back of my shirt, because I think it's kind of something personal and something important. So why do I play drum covers? Well, when I started playing drum covers here on YouTube, it was by accident. It wasn't intentional. YouTube was a place for me to watch me play drums, and I would film myself and see if I could play along to things. And some of my earliest drums on YouTube was me trying to play Vic Firth contest, drumless tracks things. There was one by Keith Carlock, another one by Harvey Mason, another one, I'm not even sure who the artist was, but I did a bunch of those, and I wasn't very good, and I submitted them, and I didn't win anything. There were so many great drummers out there on YouTube. There still is so many great drummers on YouTube today. Some of you guys are my friends, but some of you guys are just the guys out there on YouTube that are great drummers. Anyhow, I was just goofing around with it. And then one day I had a recording session down here with a band I was in called the Swigs. And we were going to record a bunch of our songs so we could get some work. The work never showed up. But we did record a bunch of our songs, and I had the drums set up in this room. And the kit I had set up was a Noble Cooley kit, silver sparklish color. It was kind of champagne silver sparkle color. 13, 16, 22-inch bass drum, huge. I had some Zildjian and Istanbul cymbals up that day, and I did a cover of the song Time of the Season by the Zombies, because it was one of the songs we were going to record, and I liked the song and had an interesting part. And I filmed it so I could hear how the 2 microphones over the kit and the kick and snare mic sounded on the recording of it. See if I could get that as my sound, because I was going to use the other mics and the other parts of the other room for recording them. And I didn't want to have a big kit with 8 mics on it at that point. I didn't have a snake in here. It was kind of like when this room was just kind of like the add-on studio room that I didn't use very often. So I used it as an experiment, and I put it out, and that video has got a lot of views on it. I don't know how many thousand views that video's got. That's technically my first drum cover. Now, I got into doing drum covers basically for myself. And then one day the community started by drum covers by Bill and Drumman 190 and Michael Perry and a bunch of other guys all kind of found me, and I started being part of the drum community. And that's the other aspect that came of why I did drum covers. But you go 7 years and you leave 2017 and 18 and you come to 2023 and you realize I wake up every day thinking, why do I do drum covers? Drum covers, here's the reasons why you don't want to do drum covers. You don't want to do drum covers to think you're going to be famous. That is not going to happen. Now, there are guys that are breakout guys that might get some fame and notoriety. And you might get some money. You don't do it for the money, because unless you can't make money off of drum covers, because drum covers aren't monetizable because they're somebody else's property. So if you're playing your own original songs and you're putting videos of you doing that, then you might make some money off of it. But then you got to get a lot of views to make money. Getting views is a huge aspect to this. And by the way, by the time this video gets released, I will have 2 million views on YouTube. And you would say, what an achievement. 2 million views, almost 7.5 thousand subscribers. Awesome. And some of these subscribers are some of my friends today. But views and subscribers do not equal millions of dollars unless you've got millions of millions and millions and millions of views and hundreds of thousands of subscribers and your own content. So doing drum covers for that reason is ridiculous because you can't make money with drum covers that way. So why do I do drum covers? Well, lately I've been doing, I do drum covers a certain way. I've been trying to get closer to doing them like the record. A lot of the Steely Dan stuff I've been doing lately, but not in the early Steely Dan stuff I did. I wasn't very close at all. I was just playing me. And there's a lot of my covers where I'm just playing me. But I have been more intentional last year to start to get closer. But there are days when you play a song and you can't get close. You try to play what the artist played, the drummer played on the song. But you're getting their vibe, but you're really not getting every hit because it's really hard to get every hit. Unless the song is Billie Jean and it's just a locked in groove and you can make sure that you hit every hit exactly where they get a hit and you run it 50, 100 times till you nail it exact and you feel like it's exact. And for me, that isn't fun. Because when I make drum covers, I make them pretty fast. Otherwise, I'd have no content. The way you guys know it, I do a lot of content. So why do I do a lot of content? I do a lot of content because I do it pretty fast. One of my little rules for myself is I will not play a song longer than an hour. So where I'm at in an hour is what you get, and sometimes what you get isn't perfect. Now, sometimes it's closer to perfect, and some people really comment and say, wow, I really learned something, and you played it really close to the record. You know what? I do play it really close to the record. I even try to play it really close to the record. But I don't ever play it exactly like the record because I'm just not the guy who played on the record. And even the guy who played on the record doesn't play it exact anymore. They probably couldn't play with that moment in time. I had a guy comment on my Friends video, Friends by Chick Corea video, and he said, you did an amazing job flowing with that song based on the fact that you were not the one stating the time. You're following the time that was stated by the original drummer. The original drummer was Steve Gadd, so it had really good time on it. But even that had a little bit of movement in it. So playing drum covers means you got to play with the band that you're playing with, and locking with that band is more important than playing every lick. So I try to a lot of times just lock with the band as best I can and hold it together. But I'm playing drum covers not to be perfect, not to play it exact, but to play it as close as I can play it, plus to show the influence that drummer's had on my life. That's why I'm doing it. But I'm not doing it for the money. I'm not doing it for endorsements. I'm not getting endorsements from this. Not making money, not getting endorsements. I do get accolades. So some people would say, well, you do it because you want to get accolades. Well, the truth of the matter is I have a group of followers. Of that 7,500 subscribers I have, and I'm just confessing it today, even though I'm short of it by a little bit today. 7,500 subscribers, 2 million views. I'm short of that too today, but I'll have it soon, very soon. All that stuff to say that there's still only a handful of people that follow me every day. And you're the guys watching this video today. And the ladies watching this video today. And you're the ones that encourage me to go day in and day out and not quit. Because there are days I go, what am I doing this for? Just stop putting them out. And then one of you guys will write something. I'll go, oh gosh, this is why I'm doing it. I'm doing it for you guys. But I'm also doing it for me. If I wasn't doing it for me, I wouldn't be honest. And that goes back to the 4 words. Walk, breathe, rejoice, and play. Now, I'm not going to give you a spiritual lesson on those 4 words because I have a lesson on that too. But I'm going to explain these 4 words to you and give you the picture of what they are. And the last one being play. It's a very important word. Something that my wife and I got probably 25, 30 years ago now was the first 3 words: walk, breathe, rejoice. We were in our 30s at that time. I had 3 kids. I had a job. My wife was doing some side work. She was starting to work on her master's degree. I was even before she started working on her master's degree. We were raising our kids. And she got these 3 words when she was praying one day. And the first word was walk. And what walk represented was take care of your body, take care of yourself. As you can see, I haven't done a great job of it, but I do walk and I do exercise. And I started a long time ago, so I'm not as in shape as I'd like to be, but I'm not as out of shape as I could be. I'll put it that way. So walking had to do with exercise. It also had to do with the idea that don't run through life. Walk on the journey of life. Life is a journey. And, I've become a philosopher in life, and I think some of you like that aspect of me. Walking the journey is really what I learned at 35 years old, was enjoy the journey. It's not the destination, it's the journey. And playing drums is a journey, by the way. It's been a long journey. It's 48 years of playing drums. It's a journey. So enjoy the journey. So walk. Breathe represents meditate, think about. When things get pressure-filled, take a breath. Some of you guys know I do yoga. I used to do Hanging with the Hammer. I basically was a live stream a couple years back. The problem with the live stream is just hard to do. It's hard to schedule it and do all the other things I'm doing. So I used to do Hanging with the Hammer, and my cut point was always 11 o'clock. It was in the middle of COVID. I've been doing yoga for like 10 years, believe it or not. Now, I'm not a super yoga person, like super stretchy and super flexible, but I've been doing it for my back and for other reasons. And our yoga instructor was an old guy. He does this thing called gentle yoga. So it's really for old people. I wasn't super old at that point, but I wasn't super young either. And I started doing yoga. I was in my 50s, and now I'm in my 60s. And I started doing yoga. And during COVID, he started doing a class at 11 o'clock on Zoom. And my wife and I would go to it. And we still do that. 11 o'clock on Saturdays. You won't find me. I'll usually be in yoga class, laying on the floor in my office with my wife, doing downward facing dog and all the other little moves we do for 45 minutes. And it's a time to breathe. So walk, breathe. So breath has to do with don't take life so seriously, let go of the pressure, let go of the anxiety, let go of it. The third one was rejoice. And rejoice became gratitude. Be grateful for everything you have and everything you do. The fact that I can still play drums at 62 years old, I am grateful for that. The fact that people watch me playing drums every day and comment on it, I'm grateful for that. That's gratitude. And that's rejoicing. So I try to rejoice in living life every day, because life is short. And I knew life was short a long time before my son passed. Then most of you guys know that story. So walk, breathe, rejoice. But what's that fourth word, play? Where did that come from? Well, before my son passed in August of 2019, my mother passed 5 years prior to that. And I was still dealing with the grief of that. And I really didn't deal with it very well. I dealt with all the family things I had to do and responsibilities, being the oldest son. But I didn't deal with the pain or the grief. And here's the story. It's a very simple story. When I was a kid, I lived on a street that had a fence at the street. It was like a circle. And there was a fence there, and there was a cemetery behind the street where I lived. And the cemetery was pretty much empty. It was all up in the front near the main road, but this was behind the main road, pretty far back. And there was all these open fields they had plowed and put grass on. And we would play baseball out in the cemetery. as a kid. And I played many summers from the time I was 6, 7, 8 through 15 years of age, probably. Maybe 16, 17 even somehow. We would go out in that cemetery and play baseball or football or soccer. There was even a pond where we used to play ice hockey when I was a kid. Anyhow, as time went on, the cemetery got filled. And when my mom died, she actually was about 30 feet from home plate, where we used to have home plate in the cemetery. Anyhow, this was May of 2019. I went to visit my mom's grave. I'm not big on that. I haven't even visited my son's grave very much, to be honest. But I needed to have that conversation with my mom because I was still dealing with a lot of the grief. And in dealing with the grief, I was standing out there at home plate where we used to play baseball, and I'm looking out at this field. And this whole field was filled with graves. People whose lives were lived in this town and ended up in the ground where we used to play baseball. And I'm sitting there looking at it, and I'm thinking, I'm looking up at the sky, and I'm praying, and I'm doing my God thing. And at that moment, I heard a still small voice inside me that said, I have another word. It's play. Now I'm 59 years old. Now I'm 58 years old. I'm going to be 59. 58 years old, and I hear this word, play. Well, it became a very important word for me in the next 3 months. From May to August, I started playing. I remember it. My wife and I went on a couple trips that summer. Now, my wife's brother, he lost his wife that year. So we were up there for a funeral. That's the other part of the story. And during this time, I get this word about play. It wasn't a few months that went by, and then my son passed away. And after my son passed away, the word play became even more important to me. And the reason it became important was it meant live your life to the fullest every day and become like a kid and play again. Because life, we get too serious. And being adults, by the way, I'm an adult. Wife, kids, grandkids, responsibility, jobs, everything else. But with all that, I'm taking it on every day and trying to be the adult. But in actuality, what I want to be is a kid inside. The child inside is where I connect to God. And that was what I needed to understand. And in this grief, I had to find a way to connect again. And playing was it. So I had many friends on YouTube after my son passed that basically said to me, what are you doing? You're playing drums all the time. You're out there every day. That was part of that word, play. Playing is what got me through the last 4 years of life. And it continues to get me through today. And it's a mindset of play. It's not play drums, it's play. It's be childlike, enjoy life, embrace the life you're at. So we went to Italy in May, and in Italy, my wife says, you know what? Let your hair go gray. Just let it go finally. Now, she's the one who told me not to let it go when I was 48 years old or 47 years old. And now I'm 62, and she's telling me to let it go. And this is the next aspect of play for me, is to let it go and say, okay, you got the wisdom, you got the gray hair, you're a child at heart, play like a child, and live life like a child, and realize that these years are supposed to be spent being childlike, being innocent, caring about people, caring like kids just care about people. Kids don't think about how people think about them. They just be kids. Well, one of the things I saw in my mother-in-law passing last year, being in her 80s, was she became childlike. But she became childlike as life got worse and worse for her in her health, and she had to be taken care of. It's a sad fact as you get old to think about these things. Now, If you're some 10-year-old that's watching my video of this, which I doubt you probably checked out a long time ago, because I'm not doing any drumming things here. But if you're an older person and probably one of those subscribers that likes to follow me and watch stuff, I just shared a piece of wisdom with you that I can't explain other than to say, walk, breathe, rejoice, and play. So why do I do drum covers? I do drum covers to play, and I enjoy playing. And like my statement says on my YouTube page, I do this to encourage other drummers. So I want to be an encouragement. So I apologize for when I'm not an encouragement, and I try to be an encouragement to everybody that comes to my channel. I realize I'm not the greatest drummer. It's not about being the greatest drummer. It's not about being the best drummer. What it's about is me connecting with myself and my art and the artist in me, okay? Being the creative person in me and being able to walk, breathe, rejoice, and play. So I hope I shared something of truth and wisdom with you. I hope I wasn't too deep and personal, and I'm sure many of you checked out a long time ago. But thanks for watching, and this is for my son, Matt. I want Matt to know that we are living, my wife and I are living life and playing at this time of life, because this is how we deal with our grief. Love you all. Thanks for watching.